it's important to ensure that some of that ad copy aligns with what's in your landing page, so you create more of a seamless experience for those target audiences.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Paid Search NYC podcast. Very excited today to be joined by ex-colleague and very good friend David Podesta, who is a senior search manager at an agency called Equator up in Scotland. We're going to be talking about a very interesting subject today, integrated search, so how paid and organic can work together. And we're going to talk about some strategies there. But before we dive in, David, thank you and welcome.
No, thanks for having me on, Matt. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Before we dive in, let's talk a little bit about kind of what you do at Equator, what your role looks like, the kind of verticals you're in. Let's start there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So I've had a background in paid search marketing. Of course, I've been at Crowd for a few years, but currently I work as a senior search manager up here in Scotland for Equator. So they're digital transformation consultancy and delivery partners. So we work with businesses becoming market leaders within the digital space. So the services that we provide also include digital marketing, and within our team we work across different clients within finance, travel and healthcare sector. So my role, technically, it spans both PPC and SEO, although a lot of my focus has been on the paid search side of things. But a core focus of what we do is integrating both organic and paid search channels and providing more holistic strategy to maximize performance for the clients that we work with.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you're very uniquely positioned to talk about integrated search because of that.
That's right.
Whereas, yeah, I think a lot of the time in an agency, you either probably slightly more broad than that, or maybe you're very specialized, but to just be kind of more of an SEM person is great, because then it obviously gives you that insight into how to bring those two together. Maybe let's just start with, when we talk about integrated search at a very high level, what does that mean?
So integrated search looks at combining SEO with PPC and looking really at how we essentially both channels really complement each other. They both look at keywords targeting, and both channels tend to have the same goals in terms of trying to drive sales for certain brands. They also have unique elements as well within each channel. So PPC, of course, is more you're looking at things like CPC bidding, whilst with SEO you're probably looking a lot more at content, site performance. But both channels can also really help each other to help drive overall performance for brands, not just in terms of from a search perspective, but also just a general digital marketing perspective.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that I've found recently is that when you're having those conversations about integrated search, because some of the problems people are having in the individual channels are new, things are changing, being disrupted in paid and organic, and those challenges are sometimes quite different. I find that it's easier for people to just get stuck in the one channel and solving the problems in that one channel versus trying to bring them together, because that feels harder because of those. Do you find that a lot, or?
Yeah, in my experience, if you look at agencies and marketing teams, you've got people whose roles are as dedicated specialists. So you might be a paid search manager or a SEO executive. So when you're responsible for a particular channel's performance, then and you're like the primary stakeholder there, then there is the pressure for you to maximize results for that channel, and make that channel look as good as possible. So because you're so focused there, then you will prioritize that channel over the overall performance for digital marketing there. And also, you tend to find if there's new briefs that come through, it's always the paid media channels, not just PPC, but also programmatic and paid social, that are involved in those discussions. And that's due to their ability to deliver quick results and provide data really quickly, whereas SEO, it requires a lot more patience and long-term strategy, and is therefore often overlooked for short-term performance planning. And there's definitely that separate entities mindset that we see that persist, and some clients still approach PPC and SEO, see them as distinct services, and they might hire agencies just to look at one of the channels whilst using another agency or an in-house team to work on the other channel. So common client requests also reflect that divide. So they might ask us just to look at, say, a Google Ads audit, which is primarily a PPC task, or they might want help with a site migration, which is primarily seen as a more of a technical SEO task. But it's about trying to change that way of thinking, so you develop more of a integrated search mindset.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned there that reminded me of a chat we had with Andy Cooney at Marcode, which is kind of that teams in silo and teams having big targets, numbers to hit. And that meant that there's a bit of, not like protectionism, but a level of like trying to protect the numbers that you're trying to hit versus taking a more holistic view and realizing that actually, part of the activity isn't incremental. It could be picked up by a non-paid channel. So it comes back to, that kind of issue with siloed teams. And I think your point on getting an agency, or the way clients think about agencies and recruiting, like a paid search agency and SEO agency, like you should really just be having an agency to just do both, because there are just so many benefits to that. It just makes this whole idea of integrated search much easier. And search and organic, paid and organic, are the two things that are the easiest to live together. Like if you're trying to do search and programmatic and you're trying to find different agencies, sure, you can understand that there's less benefit there, but like paid and organic search live in the same ecosystem. Like bring those together as much as you can. So that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And I think as well, even if they're using another agency to do work for the other channel, or they've got an in-house team focusing on one of those channels, even bringing the two parties together to work together and trying to come up with a more holistic strategy, you can still try and work together there to create that joined up approach.
Yep. Is that the biggest blocker, kind of those siloed teams, or are there other blockers in your experience to achieving integrated search?
That seems to be the main one from our side that we see. And historically as well, when I've been working specifically within a PPC role, agency side, there's been occasions where it appears we've been a little bit disjointed. So imagine you're just about to approach a performance call and you're still trying to understand why conversion rate is down for a PPC campaign that you're working on. And then you go on the call with someone else in your team that's responsible for SEO performance. And they might highlight that they're also seeing an issue on a particular landing page that you're sending traffic to. And at that point, you realize, oh, you seem to be having the same problem as we're having, but that kind of conversation could have been happening just before that call or meeting with the stakeholder. So you could diagnose much quicker the issue, why you're seeing the drop in performance or a poor performance in that area. So then you can be more prepped for the call and offer a solution to tackle that issue.
Yeah. So regular communication between those teams, sharing what's going on. I guess there's ways to do that. Feels like reporting is like a big piece there, like shared reporting, shared metrics, because that then hopefully is the easiest way to surface those things that are moving in parallel or moving at the same time.
Absolutely. It's really important to define or agree early on how you're going to measure success. So what KPIs are you going to set? So you've got that overall holistic view and just trying to break down that siloed approach. So even if, say, for example, PPC activity is not working as well as you hope, but you're seeing an improvement in performance for SEO, then that's something that you can highlight, or there could be a correlation there. It could be that you've pulled back spend for PPC, particularly on brand campaigns, but if you can demonstrate that SEO is absorbing that traffic, then rather than just trying to report it as a win for PPC or SEO, then it's a win for your overall search strategy. And also, you can report at how a strategy like that is helping to improve your return on ad spend.
Yep. Maybe a stupid question, but when it comes to so that all makes sense from like a reporting standpoint, being able to tell a story and say what's going on. When it comes to taking action on the data, what I'm trying to say is, if you're trying to find ways to save money, is that almost always in brand, because that's where you're going to rank very high organically, maybe low competition? Or do you ever see opportunities in non-brand?
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities in non-brand. So it's important to essentially categorize what search terms you're looking at as like informational or transactional terms. So with PPC, the budgets that we have normally go towards transactional terms, are the ones that we know are more likely to convert. So when you're doing keyword research, it's important to do the keyword research with the person who's in charge of SEO and work out what keywords that you're going to optimize towards. SEO's in a really good place to cover not just lower funnel terms, but the full funnel. So they could look at prioritizing as well the higher volume informational keywords, and users that see organic listings from that. perhaps later on they might convert through paid search. So SEO is helping in the earlier stage of the funnel there, and also just having a look at different products and services that you're targeting. There might be some that are or higher or lower value there. So SEO could perhaps focus some more effort on targeting some of the lower revenue, lower margin areas, so that you can, from a PPC perspective, shift a bit more budget away from those low revenue areas and focus more on the high revenue driving services.
Got it. Yeah. So it's factoring in the value of that particular user transaction, or even the value based on where they are in the journey. If it's, very early on, especially if it's like a high research item, then maybe that's a place for a non-paid channel to do pretty well. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, any kind of tools or tech that you use a lot to do that, or anything else related to integrated search?
The main thing is like using Lucas Studio for our reporting, to make sure that we're including both organic and paid search into our reporting framework. So that's one of the key areas. And also when we do keyword research, some of the tools also look at performance for both paid and organic search. We try and track as well any changes in keyword rankings for organic search, so we can also pinpoint any optimizations that we've made to a particular page, and any improvements that we make there from SEO point.
Got it. Yeah. One question there. I know that from a paid search perspective, we still get pretty good keyword and search term data. Obviously not quite as good as we'd like. We're losing some into like the other bucket, but there's still like a high level of granularity there. It's been a while since I've been deep into Search Console, but my understanding is like the level of granularity of the keyword there is less and is reducing over time. Is that something you've experienced, and does that create challenges with stitching those two things together, or is that?
It does, especially trying to see conversion data. It's fine when you're looking at impressions and click data and some average position data, but this is where PPC can also be really beneficial to the overall strategy. Not only can you share what keywords or search terms are resulting in high click-through rate or high conversion rate, but also segmenting by audiences, what demographics are working best, or what like in-market audiences or affinity audiences. And using that data, that can also help inform content updates on certain pages, so that you're resonating better with that audience that's more likely to convert or be within the audience profile that you're trying to target.
That's interesting. Can we double click on that a little bit? So does that, just so I understand that, is that looking at the Google Ads in-platform audiences? How do you then, explain to me, how do you then translate that into the SEO side?
So within the SEO side, you would look at, for example, first of all, like looking at keywords first, what terms from the PPC data are like high converting terms, because those could be the terms that SEO can also put a bit more focus optimizing towards, particularly for certain landing pages that we're trying to target and build out more content for. And then with the amount of data that you can get within the Google Ads platform, particularly like age and gender, plus locations and the other audience segments that are available, you can also see what what particular segments are converting best or engaging best with your ads. So if you know that particular messaging resonates quite well, then that would help also inform content updates. And also, if you're using particular kind of messaging for your ads, then it's important to ensure that some of that ad copy aligns with what's in your landing page, so you create more of a seamless experience for those target audiences.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's easy to forget sometimes that there is a decent amount of like audience reporting still in the platform. One of the things that I find quite useful recently is if you're uploading first-party customer match lists to Google Ads, you can then do the audience reporting on that list, and then you can compare that to the conversions you're getting through Google Ads to see like, is there a difference there? Because sometimes that's interesting if there's like a bit of a skew in terms of age or demographic or certain types of audiences. It might then indicate that Google Ads is shifting into a newer audience, or maybe there's actually some wasted spend. So and the audience point is really interesting. Lots of cool uses with that. Is there anything you see within integrated search that people do or clients push for that you'd say doesn't work or doesn't make sense to do?
Not particularly. Like I said, I think some of the conversations that we have, they'll still talk about those particular channels in isolation rather than joining them up together.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah. Okay. I guess final question, and this feels like a big one, is how does like the future of search play into all of this? We did an episode with Tom Goodwin very recently, and we kind of touched a little bit on this, and it always feels like a big rabbit hole. I mean, I think his point was, a lot of this is still we don't know. It's still evolving, but from your view, is there anything right now that we can say, maybe not definitively, but what are your thoughts going into this world of like LLMs, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude? How do you start thinking about integrated search on those platforms?
That's a conversation we've been having internally as a team within the last couple of years since the introduction of ChatGPT, but even more recently with AI overviews dominating more the search landscape, as well as the introduction of Perplexity and the LLMs reshaping how users are finding and searching for information. But what we found is still really important and still holds true is Google's EEAT guidelines on experience, expertise, authority, and trust. That's, we think, going to be more crucial than ever for brands to establish further their credibility, particularly within AI-generated results. So we're trying to track traffic from those AI platforms alongside a regular paid and organic search channels, and it'll be really interesting to see how it evolves, and if ChatGPT and Perplexity will gain even further traction in terms of user adoption there. So I feel a lot of the traditional SEO factors remain important, but those content credibility signals will continue to influence very much our search visibility. And from a paid search perspective, from what I've seen online, a lot of the conversations seem to be about moving even further away from traditional keyword targeting towards broader match keyword targeting, or even search theme targeting. So it links back to just having strong content on your landing pages and aligning with the questions and queries that users are going to ask. But certainly an exciting time, seeing how the search landscape is changing. Feels like, we're always being asked those questions. Like, how is the landscape evolving? And just seeing how Google's AI capabilities evolve. Really important that we stay on top of developments there, understand a bit more how AI works, the machine learning there works, so that you can keep ahead of the competition.
Yeah, it feels like the work that me and you used to do back in Shrewsbury crowd is a little bit different to the work we have to do today. It's always moving.
Yeah, everything that I learned within in my first year, I feel like a lot of it's not applicable anymore, or just so much has changed with increasing automation and the adoption of AI into what we do and our processes.
Yeah. I think one thing you said there that is such a great piece of advice there is, even though all this is changing, there's lots of disruption, there are still some high-level frameworks and ways of thinking that stand the test of time. So, whether that's marketing frameworks that have been around for a long time, which help you sort of take a step back and then like reframe the problem, or the example you gave around EAT, like that feels like a framework that is a pretty safe bet to rely on, because even though, like I said, all this disruption, there's still going to be a big place for that EAT framework and the things within that to that make sense in this world regardless. So I think that's really important. It's like, what are the high level frameworks that help you just kind of step out from all the craziness and be like, okay, no, just continue to focus on this, like, and this is somewhat future-proofed. Future-proofed.
And even something like keyword quality score, I know there's been a lot of talk on whether it's still relevant. And of course, we're not trying to ensure that all the keywords that we're targeting get a score of 10, but it's still very useful framework to have now, and look at, just ensure that we're optimizing as much as possible, to improve scores with regards to the whole landing page experience, ad relevancy. That's still very important today, and I can't see that the importance of that going away, at least anytime soon. But again, let's just see how the landscape evolves, how the tech platforms evolve.
Yeah. One thing I hear in more and more conversations, or the place we get to, is landing page and content. That seems to be a lot of roads lead to that right now. So I think anything that builds skills around improving those areas feels like a pretty good bet right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think content is king, as they say.
Again, another higher level framework or saying to hold on to. Awesome. I feel like it's a really good place to end. But thanks, David, for coming on. Really enjoyed this.
Yeah, no, thanks again, Matt. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you.